Hey everyone, making this video today for people who are newer to Dead by Daylight. This is a little bit of small tips and tricks videos. You guys, if you've been playing forever, you probably already know these, but this is just to help the people who are brand new to the game. So first off, welcome to Dead by Daylight. This game is very cool if you give it a chance. There is a bit of a learning curve, so I'm hoping this video will help get you past the learning curve, and then you can start to really see what this game is all about. I'm going to be mostly focusing on the survivor side. I feel like the killer side is more cut and dry and easier to understand, but we may touch on the killer side a little bit later on. So first off, whenever you get to the main page, whenever you're choosing a character, I think you're going to have these first 4 or first 8 unlocked for free, and basically whenever you click on them, you can just click right here and decide read off these perks and figure out which perks you think work best for you. My recommendation out the gate would either be Meg or Fang, just because they have what are called exhaustion perks. And if you don't know what exhaustion means, whenever you're hovering over the perk, you can actually click right stick or whatever it is on your device, and it'll tell you what the different stats effects mean. That's a very cool feature. But pretty much exhausted perks are perks that give you like a speed boost after doing something, and they're probably the most strongest perks in the game. I would definitely recommend like you got to have one of those on your build. So if I was to give a recommendation, I would say I would probably go with Fang if you're for your first ever survivor, if you're trying to decide, or Meg. But I think I would go with Fang just because she also has a perk called Technician that helps whenever you're new, trying to get better at skill checks. If you miss a skill check, it doesn't alert the killer that you just messed up. But it's really up to you. Just click around and explore and read some perks and figure out what you think makes the best sense. I will say, I think Ace is probably one of the worst ones to start with, just because its perks are very useless. And let me make sure. I don't know if it's if he still has it. There's some perks you'll see that have luck as a stats effect. Luck is the chance you have to unhook yourself. It has nothing to do with the rarity inside of chests or anything like that. So luck is one of the worst. Just stay away from any perks that increase your luck, because they're useless. So let's say you've chose Fang and you've upgraded her and everything. Well, whenever you prestige this character, you unlock all 3 of these perks instantly to every other character you have. You don't have to do anything else. You just prestige them once, and all 3 perks appear in the other person's loadout. And you just keep doing that. You keep choosing people, upgrading them and their perks, and eventually you have everyone's perks on everyone's pretty much. So it's a really simple concept once you start getting into the rhythm of it. And then I would say, so these are, like I said, these are the first 8 survivors that are free with the game. Once you start playing a little bit more, it's going to become who should I buy next? Without spending any like actual money, you can start to unlock iridescent shards. And I would highly recommend Kate Denson once you really start going into the game. I use Windows of Opportunity quite a bit. It shows where pallets and stuff are, and you really start to get, your mind starts to figuring out how I should loop the killers, how I should play around these pallets. The goal is to eventually kind of wing yourself off of Windows of Opportunity, but it's kind of a nice training wheels perk, I guess. Like I still use it personally, so I'm still trying to get myself off of using it. But it's just, as far as like the first character you should probably unlock after, let's say you've done Fang and you've done all these people and you start to get up some points, I'm definitely recommending Kate Denson. And then from there, you can kind of watch some videos and see what you think. Like, it's really what's your play style. If you're getting a ton of unhooks on people, maybe going for deliverance where you can unhook yourself, maybe that's something that's worth it. But it's just really, whatever your play style is, build something around that. But I would always make sure you have at least 1 exhaustion perk. And then there is at least a few perks. Whenever you first start, you'll see there are perks that are just free with the game. Like, they're just part of, you don't have to unlock them or anything. They're not tied to a specific character. They're any character ever. Some of the best ones with those is Kindred. We use that one quite a bit, especially if you're solo queuing and you're by yourself. Kindred is one of the best ones. Hope is okay, Lightweight's okay, but I'd really recommend Kindred as far as just universal perks. And I've been recently using Will Make It's just a really good healing perk. So it's kind of a, once again, it's whatever you're feeling like. As far as perks go, this is what I would recommend. Something small I'd also recommend for this game is whenever you first boot the game, I would definitely go to Learn to Play, and I would play all the tutorials. They're not exactly the most like clear and like realistic to what you're going to be experiencing, but it gives you a pretty good start, and you get some free blood points, I'm pretty sure, for doing all this, so why not? Speaking of which, if you're new to this game, you're definitely trying to get as much blood points as possible. I'm going to put a link in the video right now, and I'll probably put it in the description and maybe tag it in the comments. It's a website I use that it's free codes for blood points that appear every once in a while, and how you redeem them is you would just go to the store, and then down here, like right on the D-pad, redeem, and you just type in whatever code that was. So they have them every once in a while, especially around like anniversary events and stuff, and they'll give you like 1,000,000 blood points or something crazy. So I would definitely just keep checking that every once in a while. There's not like a daily code, but there's every once in a while. So I just loaded in with some bots, and I was wanting to show you guys a few things that I see a lot of new people make problems with. So first off, overall, the game is about looping the killer. So if you can start to like get that in your mind, that is really the way to play the game. It's really about, let me see if I can get him on me. It's really about, here we are, just going around in like a circle, like this. And then when he gets close, dropping the pallet, and you can either keep playing around it, or if he breaks, you just move on to the next pallet. That's kind of, you know, the gist of the game. I know this is very basic stuff, but a lot of people don't realize that. They think they just want to keep running straight, and the killer always moves faster than the survivor, except for if you're using exhaustion perk for that, like 3 seconds or whatever, whenever it activates. The killer's always going to be faster than the survivor. So just running straight ain't ever going to work. But if you look at the left side of your screen, you'll be able to see that the Claudette is being chased because the things are twitching around her character, but also because she has the big claws around her character. That means she's the obsession, which really just means certain perks affect her more than other people. Being an obsession usually is not that big of a deal. It's really just like a thing, you know, it's there, but you don't have to play around it as much. Another thing I didn't mention was I would definitely go into your accessibility settings and turn on any heartbeat visual support. I would definitely turn that on. It's just a way, you've been seeing how the heart appears on my character. That's just something a lot of people do, and it's just like an easier way. If you got music playing or something in the background, it's a visual way to see, is the killer getting close to me, without having to be totally locked in and listening. Maybe you don't got the greatest headset, maybe you're playing out of your TV. It's just a really nice way. So getting back to things that people may not know, there's a bunch of icons that you'll see from killer. Pretty much they tell the killer where you're at, and there's certain things that'll trigger this. One of them is just dropping a pallet. The killer would have just got a notification that I dropped this pallet, even though he's nowhere close to me. So there's like a few different types of vaulting. There's just walking up to a vault, and there's running, and you see how it makes it a little bit louder. When you do that, that gives a notification to the killer. So you really, if you're not really near anyone, you're not being chased, you might as well just go quietly. Same with a locker. You can quietly enter a locker and quietly exit a locker, which he can hear the door shutting if he's right on top of you. But if you run into it, see how I slammed it, and then see how I jumped out? That's just telling the killer, hey, I'm over here. So always be careful about doing that. I see a lot of people, they'll be running from the killer and be like, oh, I want him to do a stealth play, and they'll jump into the locker. And it's like, if he can see and hear that you're doing that. So it ain't always the greatest thing to do. So moving on to another thing that I see a lot of people make mistakes with is the scratch mark system. They don't totally realize what it does. A lot of people who are new to the game assume that the scratch marks only appear whenever the killer is chasing you, which is not true. They appear whenever you're running. You can, so not when you're walking like this and not when you're crouching, but whenever you're running, you can't see it, but I am leaving a trail of scratch marks that the killer can see. And it doesn't matter if he knows I'm here or not, they are there, and they'll disappear after like 10 seconds or something like that. So a lot of people will be getting chased by the killer like this, and then try to stealth, which sometimes, like, you'll see YouTubers stuff do that, but they won't realize that the guy is just following the scratch marks and then sees that they stop. So he knows either you started walking or something. So it's not always the greatest idea to just run around a corner and instantly stop. Another thing when looping the killer, it's always kind of good to know where he's at, to look behind you when you're running. It does not slow you down, I don't think it at all. To wherever you're looking, you're moving the exact same speed. Oh, that's nice. Okay, one more thing I wanted to show you guys was that whenever you're playing a game, whenever the killer first shows up in the top right corner, you can see that this button appears for killer's powers, and if you click it, you go into your pause menu and go over to killer powers, and it'll actually tell you in the middle of the game who you're facing and what their powers are exactly. So that's pretty nice. Also, I wanted to showcase that a lot of times their perks will appear in the bottom right corner with Thanatophobia, and whenever you use a status effect, it'll appear in the top right like you just saw. Another way you could see what kind of perks they have is right here. Whenever he's got Ruin, it'll appear in the top right. So I just really wanted to show, like, a lot of the killer's perks and things will appear on your screen. You just gotta know where to look. Alright, that's it for me today, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully these tips helped you out a little bit. Maybe you learned something you didn't know. And I'll see you guys in the fog.